Secretary Kennedy, thank you for coming before the committee. I've been traveling my state a lot, and affordability, whether it's gasoline, groceries, or health care, is top of mind. And when patients speak to me how expensive their prescription drugs are, it resonates with them when I say, wait a minute, there's middlemen jacking up the price for their own profitability. My constituents, patients get that, and they want help. I'll go back to my experience practicing medicine. If the patient has the power, if the patient is the reason for the care and not an excuse for the bill, then prices tend to come down. The question is, how do we achieve that? I believe the President is focused on this, and Mr. Secretary, I think you believe this as well. So I look forward to hearing how this administration's proposed budget makes the patient the one in charge. Now, there's some common sense things we can do. How can we get life-saving drugs to patients faster and cheaper? Last week, the Health Committee held a hearing on increasing access to generic and biosimilar drugs, which cost less and allow patients to keep more money in their pockets while still having access to the medicines they need. Another thing that can lower costs is getting new drugs onto market more rapidly. In February, I released a report as to how to do that, getting faster treatments, which lowers R&D costs that contribute to the research and development costs that, if they're higher, they contribute to higher prices while maintaining the gold standard for safety and effectiveness. Many of the ideas discussed in my report and by our witnesses at the hearing last week for both new treatments and generics were included in policies that the administration has proposed in this year's budget, and this is something that we can work on together. There are other ways to make health insurance and health care more affordable. Last week, I released the MVP agenda, Money and Value for Patients, MVP, to build upon President Trump's efforts to give money to patients rather than insurance companies to use for their out-of-pocket cost. If paired with price transparency, the patient can shop for the most affordable health care, eliminating unnecessary bureaucracy and eliminating profit that doesn't flow to patients, but flows to entities that pad cost in the system for their own benefit. And that price transparency bill is a bipartisan bill by members of this committee. While we speak of affordability, let's just recognize that if we don't come up with treatments and cures for things like Alzheimer's and dementia and cancer, then the boomer generation could bankrupt our country for the cost of care for these conditions. And the way to address that is to invest heavily in science and to use that investment effectively. I would argue that includes taking the resources of the NIH and making them more accessible to researchers at a wide variety of universities, so that it is the collective brain power across our nation and not just the brain power at a few concentrated institutions or cities. I credit Dr. Bhattacharya, who came before our committee and was very encouraging regarding his understanding of these issues. Lastly, standing up for patients includes standing up for the most vulnerable. Protecting women from the dangers of chemical abortion drugs is a step we can take right now to protect life. Frankly, many pro-life Louisianians have been disappointed by the lack of action on this front. We need a willing partner to stand up for life. Mr. Secretary, you have said that every abortion is a strategy. I would say it's time to stop stalling on the safety study for abortion drugs. It's time to reinstate the in-person safeguards protecting women from abuse and coercion. I will note there are criminal charges against a mother in Louisiana, and in other jurisdictions, I'm told, boyfriends, coercing or tricking a pregnant person into taking these pills. All this would be eliminated with the restoration of the in-person requirement. By the way, this is public record. The young victim was Rosalie Markazich. And there is a prosecution of the person that gave. If there was an in-person requirement reinstated by this administration, the doctor would have said, "Do you want this pill?" And she said, "No, I want my baby." And instead, she was coerced, and that's the tragedy that has resulted. Secretary Kennedy, there's so much this committee and the President's administration can accomplish. People in Louisiana are struggling. They expect Congress and the administration to do our part as they do their part. Let's meet the moment. Thank you again, Mr. Secretary, for coming to discuss the proposed HHS budget, And with that, I recognize Senator Sanders for his opening statement.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.